Hi there, this is your friend Anna, and the question that I've been getting the most from all of my friends is, what are we wearing? This age-old question isn't just about choosing an outfit, it's about choosing how we present ourselves to the world. I created the I Want Her Shoes podcast to dive deep into what it means to dress with intention, whether you're heading to a council meeting or just having a casual day out with your family. Join the conversation as we explore the power of personal style and the decisions that shape our public personas. Put on your favorite pair of shoes and step into my closet. Welcome back to the I Want Her Shoes podcast, where we explore the intersection of style, success, and substance. I'm your host, Anna, and today we're stepping into the ever-evolving world of marketing strategy with a woman who is helping brands rewrite the rules of modern agency partnerships, all while showing up with clarity, confidence, and composure. Joining us is Virginia Laird Rojo, a powerhouse marketer and trusted advisor who helps brands navigate the new agency landscape. As marketing leaders are asked to do more with less and fewer resources and tighter budgets and higher expectations, Virginia steps in with the frameworks and partnerships that actually work, which is really cool. She doesn't just build campaigns, she builds ecosystems, smart, scalable, and designed for real world impact. Virginia is here to talk about navigating change, leading with vision, and finding balance between structure and creativity, all while staying true to your brand, your team, and yourself. Virginia, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, well, before we dive into all the nitty-gritty things that we're going to get into, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background? Where did you grow up? How did you end up in Miami and doing all the amazing things you're doing in marketing?
Yes, I actually grew up right here in Miami, Florida, and born and raised. Growing up, my mom actually had a baby proofing business, so
that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's an interesting
cool
business, even especially back then, right?
Yes.
Like needed service.
At the time, she was the only one doing it, and so she grew really quickly. And it was really funny. In a short period of time, she found herself as the go-to baby proofer for all of Miami's celebrities.
Wow, that's so cool.
Super cool. And so I think I was in 4th or 5th grade, and I remember at the kitchen table one day, my mom said, "Oh, I'm baby proofing Madonna's house next week." I was like, "Madonna, you have to take me with you. There's no way." And she kind of said, okay, you can come, but you have to actually work for me.
Wow.
So I started at the bottom of the totem pole. I did get to go to Madonna's house. It was very cool. It was very exciting. But by the time I was in high school, I was running her entire marketing program. And
amazing.
So I launched our first loyalty program. I wrote and designed and sent all the email newsletters by hand, marketed her events. And it really just blossomed this lifelong love of marketing. I didn't know something could be so structured and strategic, but still really creative and fun. And so immediately after I graduated, I moved to New York City and worked with the top advertising agencies, and then moved brand side and worked as an in-house marketer, and now I've started my own consulting business. So,
well, congratulations. That's such a cool story about working, especially for your mom.
It was really fun, and it taught me a lot.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure, because there's no way I could have worked. I think you have to have a good balance and a good relationship to work with a family member or like your significant other or a child,
Very much so.
So, and do you still have a great relationship with your mom now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. She definitely.
And what is she doing? I hope that she's retired and have sold her business, right?
Yes, I still have dreams of bringing the business back one day, but no, she is no longer doing that. But she definitely at the time treated me as an employee, which was a good experience for me and good learning experience. It was fun.
Awesome. Yeah. My mom was my substitute teacher, actually.
Oh,
in high school.
In front of all your friends.
That was not that good. It was a different vibe. Yes.
Really different vibe.
But you've been helping brands build ecosystems, starting with your mom's brand. And what's broken in the traditional agency model? I know we've talked about this offline before, but maybe we could talk a little bit about that and how do you actually help clients fix this?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of pressure on the traditional agency model. Two of the biggest ones I see are one that client budgets have just been slashed dramatically.
Yes.
So every dollar needs to work so much harder. It needs to deliver immediate results. And so legacy sounds familiar probably. So
It's not possible, okay? Unless literally it's like a luck thing.
Exactly. Did I time it right? Did I get it right? But legacy agencies have been kind of built on this model of high fees and large teams and long timelines, so that really just doesn't work for a lot of modern brands anymore. And then the other thing that I've seen is a lot of brands, I think, have kind of lost the art of strategy a little bit. They've outsourced a lot of their strategic thinking to partners instead of really knowing their brand inside and out, understanding objectives, knowing their audience and how they respond to things. And so I help brands with both of those in two ways. So I help them take a long, hard look at their ecosystem and say, okay, do you really have the right resources in-house to really know your brand inside and out, understand your consumers, and really put together a true marketing strategy? Because if you don't, you probably need to start there. Bringing in a lot of partners is just going to add a lot of confusion and complication to the mix. And then from there, how do we build a more dynamic roster of agency partners that actually works for them and their goals and their KPIs? And that I find is the really fun part of getting to pair them with maybe smaller independent agencies that they've never heard of, but deliver amazing results for them.
Yeah, no, I think that's an awesome way to look at it. Thanks for sharing that. And I know that the role of marketing leader has really changed in the last 5 years. And me being an agency owner myself, I've seen that because of, specifically because of AI. Yeah. So what do you think is coming up next as you were looking at all these changes? What is going to be important, for agencies and stuff and marketing leaders? Because I feel like priorities have changed.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with you. I think I've seen much higher emphasis on financial pressure and commercial pressure. You kind of seen chief marketing officers rebranded as chief growth officers or even chief commercial officers with sales rolling underneath it. And so I think that's only going to continue to increase with AI. I personally believe AI is an incredibly powerful tool, but I do know a lot of executives see dollar signs and an opportunity to use it as a cost-cutting measure and automate, when in reality, that's not how things will work today, and that's not going to deliver immediate results. So there's just only more pressure to continue justifying long-term brand storytelling and business investment and strategic thinking versus short-term cost-cutting measures. So
yeah, no, I agree 1000%. Because AI does not solve everything, can actually make things worse.
100%.
Because a lot of people don't know that you're not supposed to use the content on your website. A lot of people, just use, they just don't even read the content. Yeah. They just copy and paste it.
Yeah.
And then if you actually read it, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then you see the brand do that, and then, people, that's why you need to have the human in the loop. And I think 100%. Being the expert, the subject matter expert is most important right now.
Yeah.
For marketing leaders, for sure.
Yeah.
To know how to use the tools.
Absolutely.
Right. And let's talk a little bit about fashion. I love the top that you picked today. How has fashion, and it sounds like your mom sounds like she was fashionable. I don't know why, but I feel like if you're going to Madonna's house, you're going to be dressed fashionably if she's hiring you. How has fashion and personal style and just role played in your career as just, as it has progressed, and maybe how has it changed throughout the years?
Yeah. This podcast is coming at a really good time for me because I'm thinking about what personal style means as an entrepreneur. I think in my corporate career, a lot of the time I really just dressed to blend in and not stand out and let my work speak for itself. I remember I was on the corporate side at one point and I was invited to this really big corporate pitch meeting, and it was a room full of C-suite executives. I was the most junior person in the room by far. So I was really thrilled to be included, but
that's awesome.
It was great. I was newly postpartum. I had nothing to wear. I was so nervous about coming off as professional. And so I remember going to the mall and I bought a navy blue suit and a white blouse and navy pumps, the most boring, inoffensive outfit you could possibly imagine. And I show up the morning of the meeting and I'm ready to go. And one of the executives from my company looks at me and he goes, "Do you have a change of shoes?" He panicked. I was like, what did I do wrong? They're navy pumps. Look at it. How could I possibly have gone wrong with that? And he says, "You're just really tall in those." And so
oh my lord, that's It's like you never expect that.
Yeah. Never. So it was like an immediate punch to the gut. Like my confidence was totally shaken for that meeting. I'm trying so hard to blend in, and here I am, still sticking out like a sore thumb no matter what I do. So now I really think about how I present myself as an entrepreneur. And if I'm dressing to make myself smaller, to not take up space, then clients view me as smaller and less confident. And how do I really want to show up in the world that's an empowered, confident way? And I don't know that I've totally figured it out yet, but it is fun playing with it a little bit. And I'd love to actually hear from you kind of how you found a bit of your personal style, because I think you've got a really distinct style. Is that just innate within you, or?
Gosh, that's a great question. I feel like I always, ever since I was really young, I always wanted to look different, or like have something. Like I remember I had green lipstick.
Oh.
Like sixth grade, and people
cool.
were like, "What are you doing?" You know, like stuff like that. So
You're
I feel like I was always I wanted to be a fashion designer. I always like really, even before like Sex and the City came out, all of that. You know what I mean? I was always drawn into fashion for some reason.
Yeah.
So, and then when I got older and I was able to like get the pieces and stuff, I feel like it started coming together, and then I just kind of know the brands I like, and like, you know, get the key pieces. And when I moved here, I got like a lot of color.
Yeah.
Like
I love
splash
color.
of color happened because when I was in the Bay Area, it was a lot of darkness, like dark color, you know, dark navy,
like that too.
gray. Maybe I'll do a white,
like
all white, but like, people be like, whoa,
wild.
Yeah, so you know, so definitely Miami. I love Miami, and the fact that I feel like I can like really be myself here because I love color in my style.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I always like to bring that out, and I know some people don't like color, so I think I definitely respect that. But for me, it's always been like color.
Yeah, I love the
whether it's green lipstick or like pink pumps.
Yeah, that's really fun. Love that.
Thanks for asking that. And let's get back to marketing. I know that you've been building ecosystems from scratch, and where should a brand begin? Usually, if you're just like, let's say you're launching like a new thing, like a new like energy drink, or it's some kind of a beauty product. I just saw that Bieber's wife just like $1 billion just for like lipstick. Was it just lip gloss?
Yeah, I think so.
It was just the one that goes on the back of your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just like, what?
I know.
Yeah, Elf Cosmetics.
$1 idea.
Yeah, they were actually a client. Like they were actually a client of mine a long time ago.
Oh, that's so cool.
For social media. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
like
super cool. They're a great brand.
Yeah, now they're buying. I mean, they probably more.
Yeah.
That's
incredible.
So what if I'm doing that and I'm not a celebrity? I don't need it.
It's so hard for us non-celebrities. I know, I agree. I think, the most important thing is really understanding your business, your objectives, and your consumer inside and out. I think the best marketers are really customer obsessed. They want to understand everything about their customer, how they use their products, how they make decisions, and that really leads to a natural strategy of how you market. I think there's a kind of a growing phase that you can go through of, if you're really just starting out, then maybe you can focus on some demand driving, lead generating activities, start to fill your funnel, get people in. But as you grow and you're delivering the baseline low hanging fruit of what marketing needs to do, then I think that's when the real fun begins. And how do you want to show up as a brand? It's very similar to choosing your own style and how you want to show up as your own personality.
Your own brand, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially, you are your own brand.
Exactly. So it's very, very similar of, who am I? How do I want to show up to the world? How do I make authentic connections with people? And I think everything just falls out naturally from that.
Cool. No, I think that's a great answer. And what do the best brand agency relationships have in common? And what are kind of the biggest red flags that you've seen?
Yeah.
And, you mentioned like long contracts, like really like big engagements and stuff like that, but is there any other things? I'm sure there probably are, right?
Yeah, very much so. I think the best brand agency relationships have 4 really important things in common, and honestly I don't think it's that different from any type of relationship. The number one thing I always say is it has to be rooted in empathy. If you're not treating humans as humans, you're never going to get great work. A big red flag for me is when I see clients treating agencies as transactional or vice versa, and not stopping to really think about how this is a human that you're talking about. Maybe they're having a bad day and you can really connect with them on a deeper level. So I think it helps to acknowledge that even in B2B marketing, you are still working with humans at the end of the day. The next thing is really having a shared vision. So I see often clients come in and they say, I want to just drive sales. And agencies come in and say, I want to do award-winning creative work. And if you're starting off with that kind of mismatch, it's going to be really challenging to see eye to eye throughout the process. So I think it's really critical to talk about what success really looks like at a very deep level and be on that same page from the get-go. And then clear action, accountability, I think is really important. What exactly are we going to do? Are we doing what we say we did? Stick to timelines. I'm a huge fan of a very old-fashioned meeting recap and just, hey, here's what we decided.
Now AI does it for you.
I know.
It's really
AI.
easy.
Yeah. It's great. Somehow we still don't get them for every meeting, even though it is actually very, very easy now. But things like that are really important, and also just keeping each other accountable. So it's important. Even the best relationships are going to have points of friction as you get down the road. So think ahead of time of how we're going to manage these hard conversations. How are we going to make sure we can get to resolutions? Think about that ahead of time. And the last part, I think, is, in my opinion, the easiest, but also the most often overlooked, which is just gratitude. Say thank you to people. Publicly, privately. It's really, really important to just show your thanks. And I think people really underestimate how far a simple thank you can go, and giving credit where credit's due.
Yeah, no, I love the first one and the last one, the empathy and the gratitude, because I feel like, as you mentioned before, that could be applied to any relationship.
Yeah.
And then in between that, you have to align with the vision and have good KPIs, which you both measure against, right?
Yes, exactly.
A relationship right there. No, that's great. I think that's like a cool little piece we can use.
Yeah.
A clip
Hopefully
we can use.
helpful.
Yes, no, it's super helpful. And I think I saw just the post you did on LinkedIn about this too.
Exactly.
Well, let's go back to your closet. And what is one piece in your closet that always make you feel grounded, confident, and ready to own? Or if there's something, or maybe a few pieces.
Yeah, so my few pieces. So similar to you, when I was dressing to blend, and it was all neutrals, black, white, beige, maybe navy blue, very, very bland. And in the last year and a half, I've started bringing in more color and have been really drawn to bright red. It's been really fun. And so I was on a Zoom call with someone earlier this year, and he sort of stopped me mid-sentence. He's like, your last name is Rojo. That means red instead. Yeah. I was like, yes, it does. So you're wearing red. That's so cool. And it was the simplest thing, but it made such a lasting impression on him, and he remembered me very well after that in a good way. So I've really been drawn to this little red corner of my closet, and when I really want to feel confident.
You do red really well.
Thank you.
And that is a cute little coincidence.
Yes, thank you.
And when we talk about juggling a lot of things, like being an entrepreneur and, relationships with clients and being a mom and a wife, how do you do all those things? Do you have any tips for people how to make it all happen?
Yeah. I think the first thing I always like to acknowledge is that I have a lot of help. And so I remember being earlier in my career and seeing these women who had incredible careers, super present at work, present with their kids, had a great social life. And I was like, I could never do that. And so now I do always like to be mindful that I have a really present husband at home. I've got family that lives nearby. I've got an amazing nanny who helps manage all our chaos. And so that goes a very long way in letting me focus on big client problems and strategic decisions. The other thing is that I feel like now, finally in the last couple of years, I've figured out a way to design a career that really does energize me. For a long time,
That's
I thought it's been so great. And I really thought that the corporate ladder was the only way forward, and saying yes to every project and working 60-hour weeks. And I truly didn't know there was another option outside of that. And so when I started this consulting business, it was like a whole new world unlocked, and it's been really energizing. Yeah. I'm just singing that one today with my daughter. She loves that.
Well, congratulations. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
I think that's what we all kind of strive for, is that
it's been
balance.
great. I'm very grateful.
And now, tell me about these amazing shoes that you brought.
Okay.
And the story behind them. So for people that are not tuning in on YouTube, you have these Dolce Vita, and I would say they're kind of like a little kitten heel,
like
but it's like a chunky
heel.
and they're gold, like really beautiful leaf pattern, which I love.
Thank you.
Very like a Greek goddess vibes.
Thank you. Yes, I like them. They really were nothing super fancy, but I was out shopping one day and they just caught my eye, and these have to come home with me. And before I could even get in the door, my daughter grabbed the box out of my hand and she opened the box and, Mommy, you got princess shoes.
Oh, yay!
And she immediately put them on and started wearing them around the house. So for that alone, they're now my favorite pair of shoes because it was very cute. But I also, after I got them home, realized that was the first pair of heels that I had bought since the executive told me that I was too tall. So it was kind of a nice full circle moment of being okay with taking up space and not dressing to make yourself smaller.
Well, that's a great story, and they're very fabulous and very versatile. You can wear them with anything.
I do. They did a lot of wear.
And before we wrap up, I'm going to do this quick little this or that little fire round with you. Blazer or leather jacket?
Leather jacket.
Agency or in-house?
Both.
Yes, I like that answer. Strategy deck or whiteboard session?
Whiteboard session.
Agreed. Statement necklace or classic watch?
Classic watch.
Email or voice memo?
Email, even though I'd love to be a voice memo person. I'm really not.
I like a record of as well.
Helps me think too.
High heels or Luke's flats?
Flex flat.
So I want both now. Coming back to the heels. Brand storytelling or performance marketing?
Brand storytelling. But a little bit of both.
Yeah. Early morning sprint or late night deep dive?
Definitely a late night deep dive. I would love to be the early morning sprint person, but
I'm the opposite. I'm the morning sprint. Because if I wasn't, I wouldn't be able to be up with my kids at 5.
Yeah, that's true.
Structured workflow or organized chaos?
Structured workflow.
Ditto. Power lunch or walking meeting?
Walking meeting.
I love walking. That's like a new vibe now. Do a walking meeting. Yeah, I love doing that.
Gets your creative flowing.
Yes. Well, Virginia, thank you so much for sharing your insights, clarity, and bold approach to modern marketing. Your perspective on rebuilding agency models, empowering teams, and leading with intention is not only timely, it's transformative. From rethinking structures to redefining success, your work is a reminder that marketing isn't just about tactics. It's about building ecosystems that last, partnerships that matter, and cultures that thrive under pressure. To our listeners, thank you so much for joining us. Remember, style isn't just what you wear. It's how you show up when resources are tight, expectations are high, and innovation is non-negotiable. Don't forget to subscribe to I Want Her Shoes podcast on your favorite platform and stay tuned for more stories of women leading with substance, strategy, and a signature sense of self. See you later.
Bye.
That was awesome.
Thank you. That was so great.
Well, last thing that I'm going to ask you to do is pick out a shoe that you think that represents you in this closet.
I have to go for red.
I have a couple reds, but yes, you can do that. You could do anything that actually represents you and speaks to you.
Yeah. They're so fun. Such a good collection.
Thank you.
Do you have a favorite?
I have a couple. It's hard to have just one because sometimes I go from really wanting to wear one a lot and then going to another one. But I usually I don't buy uncomfortable stuff anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. And I need to pick these with the palm heel. That's so cool. Miami native. They're too cool.
Yes, you're the third person.
So really?
Yes,
wow.
Those are the most popular. So yeah.